You're right.
This is insane.
Oh. And it evolves as well. There's so much to it.
My name is RamonPang. I won the Baauer Bop Battle last week. The guest judge was Mura Masa, who happens to be big inspiration of mine, especially with the way he uses harps and just these cool futuristic beats. Sample came from Four Tet, another big inspiration of mine. And the battle was hosted by Baauer. Obviously, humongous influence on like the way I compose beats and just make stuff that still bangs. And I want to show you the project file and break everything down. Just a note, I do run on like a really bad MacBook. I run it through OBS. So if there's any audio issues, I sincerely apologize. But I hope you get the gist of pretty much this whole project because there really isn't that much going on. And I wanted to showcase that it's just all about simplicity and varying interesting ideas and weaving them into each other in a way that makes sense. First thing people obviously were caught off guard by was the drums. So basically I took this sample of a really winding drum solo. Let's hear what the original sounds like. Let's see. So yeah, I don't know where that's from. I just kind of labeled it as something funny. But what I did was I increased it. I doubled the BPM with the segment BPM section. And I just kind of chopped it up to try to make a rhythm that was both really complex but also easy to follow once the beat kind of came in. It's just basically this 2-bar section repeated over and over and over again. And when you add it in with this kind of like drum beat that I kind of purposed out of some old Foley sounds, like it starts to make sense. Yeah. Drums. This part that's just chopped is just the same sections, but I just like that. And then you just add the kick drum, and the kick drum just kind of glues the whole beat together. You know what I mean? And it obviously sounds like insane with this like acid bass line that I just found on Splice and chopped up. Again, I really apologize for the frames. Yeah. So next up is the Four Tet sample. So the original Four Tet sample, it goes a little bit something like this. So I took that and I just chopped it up. I took little bits and pieces of it and I just formed this pattern right here. Didn't apply much processing, just an imager, soothe, a little bit of saturation, and some EQing to take the bass out. Nothing too crazy. And one thing I did to kind of create this variation underneath. All I did was bring the segment BPM. I multiplied it by 2 to kind of slow it down by half, and then transposed it by an octave down. This is a really cool thing you can kind of do if you want to create variations out of the same sound. What you can do is just take a section, multiply it, slow it down by 2, and then pitch it down, and you have an instant bass line. And this works with almost everything. I think I do that. I actually learned this from Four Tet, so a video he did. So when you layer it with things, you get the same texture, but it's a different octave, and you can manipulate it in different ways. Obviously, I didn't use that in the end of the track. I used something more melodic. Something really easy over there. And then this is more background noises. These are just crazy noise samples that I've kind of ripped from vinyl records. The whole thing is just like something more free sounding, something to kind of give it some texture. So next up is just a harp sample that I sampled from. I just sampled from a lot of new age records and things like that. Meditation records, those are always great for solo harp, things like that. This is pretty free sounding. Like if you play it with the metronome on top, it's like more drums. Yeah. Pretty simple beat. Not that much really going on. Just stuff like it's just basically all we have really is the synth, the harp, some background effects, and the drums. Not really anything else crazy going on. One thing that I think is important, especially when you work with very sparse elements like this, is really like creating variation out of what you have. You know, for example, one thing I do with this Four Tet sample right here is I made a variation of it with this. This is just the original sample. It's reversed, and it's pitched up by 2. It just reversed. And I just put a shit ton of reverb on it, basically, to kind of take the variation in there. It's like it acts as like another fill, basically, and it makes it feel like more like one cohesive like melody, if that makes sense. This is just another example of like another chop that I did where I just took the same melody and yeah, and when I'm chopping up these melodies, I do it mostly by sight and by ear. I don't really like have any formula or anything. I'm just placing it on the beats that feel the most correct. Do you know what I mean? And this outro is just the super slowed down, super textured lo-fi, and that's essentially the beat. So yeah, that pretty much wraps it up for the Bop Battle Breakdown. Again, not that much stuff going on, probably like only 13 layers or so, but I really believe that like once you have a good loop or good idea going, it's all about arrangement, kind of figuring out where you can put those little fills and showing restraint on where you put those fills. But most importantly, remembering that even though it is a beat and it is a battle, like it's still a track, it's still a song, you know, and there's nothing wrong with like finessing and showing off like cool musical tricks that like only work in the context of that song. And especially when you only have like a minute or two to kind of get your ideas across, if you can show that like you are changing things and you have this attention to detail, that can really just mean all the difference to close listeners of your beats and your tracks. And it's how you add life and personality to your tracks, you know? Fills that only you would do, um, inserting like just random sounds that only you would put in or only you have access to. It contributes to quote unquote your sound, which, is the reason why we make music, you know? So, yeah, if you have any other questions or anything, feel free to put them in the comments below or just send me a DM on any social media and I'll do my best to answer you. So, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed.